There is a type of person the world will never fully understand. They do not post every victory on social media. They do not call 10 people when life gets hard. They do not need a crowd to celebrate, and they do not need a shoulder to cry on. They are built differently, not because life was easy for them, but because they chose something most people are too afraid to choose. They chose to walk alone. And here is what nobody tells you about that choice. It is not loneliness. It is power. But most people who try this road make one mistake that costs them everything. Stay with me. You have been there before. That moment when something good happens in your life, a small win, a breakthrough, something you worked hard for, and the first thing your mind does is look for someone to share it with. You want to tell someone. You want to be seen. And then you realize there is nobody who truly understands. Not because the people around you are bad, but because they are not on the same path as you. They are living a different life, with different battles and different fears. And when things fall apart, and they will, you suffer in silence. Because you know that telling people your problems either makes them gossip or makes them pity you. Neither feels right. So you carry it alone. And sometimes that weight feels so heavy that you start to wonder, is this loneliness or is this strength? Are you doing this right? You are not broken. You are just becoming. But here is where the confusion starts. Most people think that walking alone means being cold. They think it means shutting everyone out, building walls, never laughing, never feeling. They confuse solitude with emptiness. They confuse silence with sadness. And that confusion keeps them stuck, either running back to people who drain them, or becoming so closed off that they lose their warmth entirely. Neither path leads to real strength. The shift happens when you understand something very few people in this world actually get. Solitude is not the absence of connection. It is the deepest form of it, a connection with yourself. When you can laugh alone and truly mean it, when you can sit with your own pain without falling apart, something inside you changes permanently. And that change is exactly what we are talking about today. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote his deepest thoughts in a private journal. Not for the world, not for approval, for himself alone. He understood that real power over your life begins the moment you stop needing outside confirmation. Seneca, who lost everything, wealth, status, exile, wrote that a man who is truly at peace does not need the applause of others to confirm his worth. He carries that knowing deep inside him. Epictetus, born a slave, had everything taken from him except one thing, his inner response to the world. And from that one thing, he built a philosophy that emperors studied. These three men are not just history. They are a blueprint for you. Your joy, your pain, and your conquest must belong to you first, before they can mean anything to anyone else. Before your success can inspire anyone, it must first live inside you. Think about the last time you celebrated something publicly. How did it feel when people did not react the way you expected? Maybe they were quiet. Maybe they seemed unbothered by something that meant the world to you. And in that moment, your joy shrank. Not because the achievement was smaller, but because you gave someone else the power to decide how good it felt. That is the trap. Most people live their entire lives inside that trap and never even see the bars. Now think about the last time you suffered in silence, not because you had no choice, but because you chose to. Because you decided this pain was yours to carry. Did it feel heavy? Yes, but did something also feel like it was being built inside you? Something quiet and strong and unshakable? That is not a coincidence. That is growth at a level most people never reach. Here is something very few people ever truly understand. The energy you spend explaining your joy to others, that energy could have multiplied it. The time you spend performing your pain for an audience, that time could have healed it. Silence is not weakness. Silence is where the real work happens. And here is a question I want you to sit with right now. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself, with no audience, no post, no story? Because the person who can answer that with a genuine smile is already ahead of most people around them. Most people will scroll past this moment, but you are still here. And that already tells me something real about who you are. Imagine a man who has been working quietly for 2 years. No posts, no updates, no announcements. His friends think he has given up. Some have stopped calling. Some whisper that he lost his way. Every morning he wakes up before the sun, makes his coffee, sits in silence, and works. Not because someone is watching, not because someone is clapping, but because he made a promise to himself that he would not stop. Some nights are brutal. He sits in the dark wondering if any of this is worth it. There is no one to call, no one to remind him why he started. So he returns to the only voice that matters, the one inside him. And that voice, small at first, grows louder over time. More certain, more clear. He stops needing the approval of people who never believed in him anyway. He stops shrinking his ambitions to make others comfortable. And then one day, not with a dramatic announcement, things shift. Opportunities arrive. Clarity deepens. He looks back at those 2 years and understands something that changes everything. The silence was not punishment. The silence was preparation. He was not suffering in those dark nights. He was being shaped. The man who emerges is not the same man who began. You already know who I am talking about. I am talking about the version of you that becomes possible the moment you choose to walk this path fully. So how do you actually live this way? Not as a concept, as a real daily practice. It starts in the morning, before the phone, before the noise, before anyone else's opinion enters your mind. You sit with yourself for 5 minutes. No app, no guided voice. Just you and the silence. In that silence, you ask yourself one question. What do I need to protect today? Your energy, your focus, your direction. Then you move through your day with that answer as your shield. When someone invites you to gossip, your shield reminds you of your direction. When something goes well, instead of rushing to post it, you sit with it for a moment. Let yourself feel it fully and privately. Let it belong to you first. This is how you build what the Stoics called the inner citadel, a place inside you that the world cannot reach or break. Then at night, before sleep, you do what Marcus Aurelius did. You reflect, not on what others thought of you, but on where you kept your word to yourself and where you did not. This is not about being perfect. It is about being honest with yourself in a way most people deeply avoid. Because that honesty shows you where you are weak. And it is also the only mirror that truly shows you where you are growing. The person who does this quietly and consistently, they become something rare. And here is what happens to the person who does not choose this path. They spend their entire life chasing validation from people who are also chasing validation from them. A loop with no exit. Their wins feel empty because they were built on outside approval. Their pain never fully heals because they never sat with it long enough to understand it. They reach the end of years and realize they were always performing. For friends, for family, for followers, and never once truly lived for themselves. The moments they could have used to build something real, they spent scrolling and performing and seeking. This is not judgment. This is a warning. Because most people will hear this and nod and then return to the same patterns within the hour. The window to change is always smaller than it looks. But you are not most people. You already know that. The fact that you are still here means something is already shifting inside you. You are becoming the person who laughs without needing an audience, who suffers without making it a performance, who conquers quietly and only looks back to see how far they have come. That person already lives inside you. They have been waiting for you to stop asking for permission. You do not need the world to understand your path. You just need to walk it. Now I want to ask you something. In the comments below, tell me, what is one thing you have been carrying alone that has quietly been making you stronger? Drop it below. And if this video stirred something inside you that you have not felt in a while, subscribe. Not for me, but because you deserve this kind of reminder in your life on a regular basis. Because the world will not remind you. You have to choose to be reminded. And remember this always, the lion does not announce his hunger. He eats, laugh alone, suffer alone, conquer alone, and become undeniable